Nottingham Forest have announced the 25-man squad, and there are a few names missing. Welcome to your Forest news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. In today's video, we're going to take you through the 25-man squad. We'll explain to you exactly what can be added and what can't, and who's in there and who's not in there, as well as who should be in there and who shouldn't be in there as well. So if you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and don't forget, tonight at 8:30, it's Dial In with Ez and Dino. Make sure you get in and talk to them about what you think the transfer window's been like, who your favorite players are, what your expectations are on the formation, anything you want to do. The boys will sort you out tonight from 8:30. All right, let's jump into the video. But before we do, don't forget to grab your Signed Worrall shirt. And that's it. Time for the video. Okay, the most important thing to understand about the 25-man squad is who is allowed in it and who is not, who must be registered and who must not. So there's a lot of rules, but we'll keep it quite simple. The rule is first rule number one is you have to be over the age of 21 to be registered. So 22 and over, basically. If you are under 21, then you don't need to be part of the 25-man squad, but can still play in the games. You're classed as obviously an under 20s ones. And now some examples of that would be the likes of Andy Omabadeli. You've got Santos coming from Chelsea. There's a few others as well. We'll put a list up for you on the screen. Those players will not make part of the 25-man squad, but can still be used. Excuse me. Now, the important one here, and probably the one that might confuse some people, is the homegrown rule. There has to be at least 8 players who are homegrown. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean they had to be born and raised in England? Does that mean they had to be born in Nottingham? No, nothing like that. You don't actually need to even be British to be classed as homegrown. The thing with homegrown is being registered at an English club for at least 3 years before you are 21. And that's what classes as homegrown. Hence why the likes of Jonjo we were able to sell for nearly £50 million because he counted as that. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to have been at your academy. So 8 of those players have to be counted. Anyone who's over 22, then they go part as the 25-man squad, but 8 of those need to be homegrown. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone, but they're the 2 key main rules you need to have in your mind. So let's get into the squad and let's talk about it. All right, so let's start by talking about the omissions from the squad. And there are key names that have been missed out from this squad. First one is Biancone. That won't come as a surprise to you, as he's going to Olympiacos on a perm deal, by the way, which is undisclosed. So obviously he's not being named in the Forest bench. I'm not going to go in the ins and outs of what I think about these players that have been left out just yet. Then you got Emmanuel Dennis. So clearly Cooper just doesn't want him in the squad at all. And the talk is that he's going to end up at Turkey probably by the end of the week. The interesting ones are the 2 Shelveys, Jonjo and Jonjo Shelvey, the goalkeeper. Jonjo obviously is exiled at the moment because of what he did. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. We'll leave a link somewhere for you. But the one that surprised me was Shelvey, the goalkeeper, because I thought he would probably get in ahead of Hennessy. Now, does that mean he can still be loaned out? Does that mean, is he going to leave Forest? I think he may still be loaned out if the loan window is still open, which in some places I believe it is. And that wouldn't surprise me at all. So with him not being named at all, not even in the under 21 squad, then I think he may be on his way out on a loan deal away from Nottingham Forest. The other keeper that got left out was Horvath. So what's Horvath going to do? I don't know. He may have to go out on loan or probably end up in Turkey. I think Turkey is probably one of the only few windows that are still open. But these were the main names that cropped up that stood out for me. Let me know what you think about those. Would you have put any of those in your 25-man squad? Comments down below, please. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the under 21s that we would expect to see in the main 25-man squad. And the first one that comes to mind is Aguilera. Aguilera registers as the under 21 and will probably form part of the bench or something like that for Nottingham Forest. But because he's under 21, he's a freebie for us. There are other youth players. I'm not going to go through them all, but the key ones are people like Anthony Elanga. Obviously, he's a main squad player, under 21. So if you're looking down that 25-man squad and can't see these players, that is why. Let's check out a couple more names for you. Andrew Omobamidele, of course, our recent signing from Norwich, under 21, so is a freebie. You got Andre Santos, Deloney coming in from Chelsea, and I'm just looking to see, is there any other highlights ones? There probably is. Murillo from Corinthians that we just brought in. He also is under 21, so is a freebie. So Forest have got like 4 or 5 from the freebie list, or under 21 list is the official term for it, that they can use and bring into the squad with no problems at all. And I do like that. I do like that. And there's a few other ones. You know, you've got Zach Abbott, who looked decent as well from the youth squad. People like that, Donnelly, but he's gone out on loan. Players like that Forest could potentially use. I'd quite like to see maybe a Song named in an FA Cup squad. I think he's got a lot of potential coming through the youth ranks. So that's the under 21 teams, but those are the main names in there, the likes of Elanga, Santos, Murillo, etc. They're the ones, if you're looking for them in the 25-man squad, you ain't going to find them there because they don't need to be registered as part of that. Okay, so now looking into the 25-man squad, and it is definitely defensively heavy, because looking at the forwards that Forest have registered, it's as I showed you in the other video. You got Awani, you got Hudson-Odoi being classed as one, Origi and Chris Wood. And then in midfield, and that's only 4 forwards being named. And I really wouldn't class Hudson-Odoi as a forward. In the midfield side, you've only got 6 named, which is just weird. You got Danilo, Dominguez, MGW, Quixote, Mangala, Sangare, and Yates. So 7, being named there. So overall, it's 11 attacking options that Forest have put down on this paper. The rest of them have gone down as defenders. Just looking at the defenders, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 defensively minded players. Now, obviously, bear in mind, you still got to add the 4 or so players from the under 21s, which brings a little more balance to it. But what do I feel about this 25-man squad? I think it's pretty good, to be honest. I do think we could have done with 1 or 2 more attacking options. And the other name that did spring out to me was Tuffalo being there. Now, obviously, Tuffalo's got his alleged charges coming up against him. And I did sit there and wonder, why was Tuffalo named? And from the maths that I've done, it's probably because he would form part of 20 of the homegrown players. And that's why he's had to be put in there. Because as I mentioned at the start of the video, you need 8. So do I think Tuffalo will get much game time this year? Not really. Not really. I think he's probably 3rd in the pecking order, if not 4th. But outside of that, this squad doesn't look too bad. It's good enough, in my opinion, to get European football for Nottingham Forest. But we have to wait until Monday now to get them back on the pitch. And I'm sick of this break. I really am. This international window has gone on way too long, in my opinion. Get your thoughts in on that, on the squad, guys. There's pretty much nothing else to tell you about, but we will see you tonight at 8:30 for Dial In with Ez. Make sure you're tuned in and make sure you get your calls in as well, and the boys will be answering them all for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. We'll see you at 8:30. Come on, you Reds.